She's wearing them out.
All right. Alexa, set an alarm for 30 minutes from now. Hey, everybody. We are back with our book club. I'm here with my mothers, Mildred and Gabriela. So, we're wrapping up Kevin Hart. We won't be able to read touch every chapter because there's so many miniature chapters. Every chapter has a great little life lesson of his in here, and I will say, like, if I have to wrap up Kevin Hart, I would say, he's an honest person that is willing to let you in on his mistakes. He's trying to make himself a better person. He was raised with this incredible work ethic and ability to keep a schedule because of his mom and the things that she instilled in him. And I highly recommend this book, and I think he's great. And if you want to ever follow him, I follow him on YouTube. And my favorite thing to follow him on is What the Fit. And it's about a fitness thing where he does weird fitness stuff with his Hollywood friends. And he'll take a friend to an Olympic gymnastic team, and they will exercise with them. But they're professionals, of course. So it's real funny, it's real entertaining, but it shows people how to be fit, outside of the box, and still enjoy the company of your friends. So, I think it's on his LOL, and it's under one of those categories because he has a couple different categories under LOL on YouTube, and he's great to follow if you just want to laugh a little bit here or there. So we're at the end of the book. So we are on page 256. So I think what we'll do is, what do either one of you guys want to talk about concerning him? What did you get out of the book, the parts that you read and the things that you enjoyed?
It's like a lot of kids. When they're young teenager, even young adults, they don't appreciate what pressures and things their mom or dad put on them. And by the time he grew up, he finally got it,
Yeah.
Even he kind of was, I don't need a babysitter, I don't want to go to
He had a
bed
babysitter
early.
until he was 17 or 16 years old. His mom had a tight
schedule
for him. This guy could never do nothing. Yeah, she had every reason in the world to do that.
The kind of area they lived in, his brother got in trouble, and she said, "You are not going down that road like your brother."
Yes. So what do you think, Mildred? What's your feel on Kevin Hart now that you know a little bit about him?
Well, like you said, he's a human being.
Yeah, we're all human, and we always put people on pedestal. It's
right.
It's weird. He's just like us.
And I like it that he learned from his mistakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The part I like was when him and his wife wasn't getting along when she was pregnant the first time.
Yeah.
And he moved out and got him his apartment, but he didn't feel comfortable doing that. He felt guilty.
Yes, he did.
And a lot of men don't feel guilty about decisions that they make, especially when they feel like they're doing it for their own sanity. And he went back home.
And I will say this about him: he is a loyal person.
Yeah.
If he lets you into his inner circle, then you'll always be in his inner circle. He's always going to take care of you. He's always going to manage you. Even when him and his wife separated, when they went to court, he was like, whatever it is you want, that's what you're getting.
Mm-hmm. And even years after, they're still friends.
Yes, and there's no problems with that. He's got zero problems taking care of his kids because he takes responsibility for being in a relationship young also. Mm-hmm. And then he also recognizes, even though they had a hard time, it was a crazy situation to have a relationship in because all the things he had to do would be impossible for anybody to have a relationship with. Yeah. You know what I mean? Especially at a very young age.
They were very young.
Yeah. Too. So I feel like they still got a lot of love and respect for one another.
Yeah. His ex-wife gets along with his new wife, and they're kind of like a big family,
Co-parenting really well.
Not that hate that a lot of people, when they separate, install in that, tell the kids.
I think part of it is his little
negative
shoulder shrug thing too. Okay, it didn't work. I'm going to shrug that off. I'm not going to continue to have horrible feelings about this. How can I make this part of my life the best it can, including everybody that's ever been there for me? That's what I really like about him too. But I will say this, Kevin Hart is so determined. When I read this book, it made me realize his path was so hard. He had to really want what he wanted because he had success and then he had a failure. He would reach a high, and he did what young people do. You reach a high, you spend all your money. Oh my gosh, I'm broke again, I gotta start all over. And he'd reach a high, he'd spend all his money. But that's what you do when you're young. I don't think there's a lot of young people that could be disciplined, but I always remember when I was in church, that was something like that my pastor used to always say, like, don't just pray for money, because that situation of having everything until you're ready for it, that can kill you too. You know, and think about all the times, like, he was close to death a couple of times, making irresponsible decisions, like the car accidents, you know, the DUI. But it's all part of living and learning, and I just think it's nice that he was honest and he let us know about his mistakes, so that people that are making those mistakes can realize they're not the only ones, and you can always change your life anytime you're ready to do that. That's what I like the most about his book.
Right.
That he shows that he doesn't try to sugarcoat it. He admits that it's wrong, and then it's showing people you can change your life anytime you want to.
He's very transparent.
Yeah, I love that.
In every area.
Yes.
Not just the good part, but the bad, the things that he did wrong.
Yes.
You know, I mean, cheating on his wife. He, you know,
he admits it right away.
He didn't have to put that in the book, but he did. You know, to let people know that, hey, you know, I was young and stupid. And I made stupid mistakes, but I learned from them.
Yeah. So I'm not even gonna go on and on. I'll just say, like, the book is kind of cool because it kind of lets you in first, like how he's raised up, then the struggle of becoming where he wants to be. Then at the end, he kind of shares like how he wants to keep having a dream. Like right now, he has a floor in a building, and they have an office space. Then he
owned the whole building.
Yeah, and I think that's cool. Like now he owns the whole floor. He doesn't have work for every part of that floor, but he already owns it. And in his mind, he's thinking eventually it'll be the whole building. Like he's not stopping. Like he's continuously trying to do more and bring other people up with him, which I think is like great. So because it's so nice to help other people advance too. So, and then it even goes in here, and like even like his manager Nate, isn't his name Nate?
I guess
how he's really
he wants to work for nothing for him, just to be.
Yeah, so Nate came and he worked for nothing. Then Nate got paid. Nate has like an anger problem. Nate doesn't know how to talk to people. Kevin Hart had to sit him down, and he didn't ever quit on Nate. He just was like, hey, like, I don't ever want to leave you behind, but we got to change how we talk to people. You know, and it just tells all these stories about not only how he's working on himself, but how he's always ready and willing to help the people he's with, so he doesn't have to leave people behind by doing practices that only worked at a certain stage in his career. I think that's really cool.
He doesn't dump anyone. He
Yeah.
lifts them up when they need
He gives them a lot of patience and time to get themselves together. Because Nate, it took him a long time to understand how to talk to people.
Yeah, and I mean, I have so many things highlighted. I don't even know if I want to do this, but I do want to read the last 2 chapters, so I'm thinking I'm just going to take you guys here, but let me make sure. Yeah, I think that's what we should do. So, like, I think here it even says on page 304, I had to learn the craft of the business, entrepreneurship, and brand building, as well as being a comedian. And he had to learn all that because sometimes when you're in that Hollywood world, if you don't try to learn all these things, people will leave you behind because you'll never reach your potential because people put you in a box.
Plus they'll take advantage of you
Yes.
if you don't know the business part of it, you know.
And his whole thing is like he's always working to survive. And now that he has a team, it's like it was, because now it wasn't just me working to survive, it was the whole team working to survive.
Right.
And he always kind of grabs people that are surviving too, which makes it so easy for him to push them to the next level because they want to thrive and survive. And then he just keeps building these people up and keeps investing in his group and his team. Because some people, they hire a team, but they just don't invest in the team.
Right.
Yeah, and he says a team is going to survive better than an individual, just as a team is always going to beat an individual in sport. My point is all about community, people. We are stronger together.
Yes, I had that highlighted
He's
too.
really
I just wanted to point out like what we're talking about with Nate and the people that he's working with. Like he is really building a community at work where he is investing in every person and everything that they're doing.
On 305, the title, in chapter 79, it says, sometimes you have to say yes to the things you want to say no to, so you can raise yourself to a place where you get to say no to more things.
Yes, and in that chapter I had highlighted, do your best always. And he's saying that because some of the things that he did that he didn't think would accelerate his career actually were those things. Mm-hmm. So he's saying anything that you do, just do your best always. It may not come, and then, you know, it says, it may not come when you want it to, but when it does, it's right on time. And that's part of like how I think, and in the book he talks a lot about how he felt when he lost his mom. Mm-hmm. What he had to do to survive that. And then it also says when he feels protected or somebody's watching over him, the way that he survived the death of his mom is not that she was dead, but that she's alive and his protective angel now. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, that's kind of a cool way to think about it, because everybody thinks about death in a different way when it's the people they love the most. And in there it says that. So if you're working on something like that, this book is great for that too. You know, because he really lets you in, like how he dealt with that, because it was so hard. Let's see. Okay, Torsten, let us do our thing. Go do you. Otherwise, come have a seat here in that chair. Okay, so I'm just going to go to that part that I really, really want to talk about, which is the very end. But of course, read the whole book. Like, don't skip anything. So we're going to kind of start on page. Mildred, do you want to start? Go ahead.
Don't do drugs. Instead, prove everyone who doubted you wrong. It's a bigger high. If this sounds self-centered, that's because it is. I'm a selfish guy. How else could it be possible to write a book this big about myself?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his... Love you. I love you too. Either have a seat here or go in your room and do your thing, but sit right there. Perfect. Thank you. So I was going to say, Mildred, if you want to read on 371, we're here where it says, I don't even have enough people. This is just about the office thing that I was sharing.
Oh, I don't even have enough people for the other office yet, but I know that I'm going to grow into them, and once I fill the floor, I'll work to fill the building. There's always more.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something people need to realize too when you're an entrepreneur and you're starting off doing things. There's always room to grow in your business. Don't sell yourself short. And I have like this highlighted. You want to read from just that chapter, and then I'm going to have you read.
From there, I contacted Nike and set up a meeting with the executives. I walked in with proof of the impact I was having on people's fitness. I told them that I wanted to use my influence to help people make the decisions. I want to start running. I want to start exercise. I want to take care of myself. Put me in a position to do it, I said, and I promise I'll do it in a way that's never been done before. They listened, and as a result, I became the first comedian ever sponsored by Nike. Together we launched the Nike Hustle Hart sneakers and the Move with Hart campaign that, to this day, motivates people to run on our official Sunday Run Day.
Okay, and then I just want to say that was one of his dreams when he first was in the shoe store to do this with Nike. And then look, now he's in the comedian business, now he's in the movie business, and still doing the dreams that he had way back then. So I was going to let Mildred finish it up.
I willed the dream I had at 18 years old, before I ever discovered comedy, to come true. I'm finally working for Nike. If you grind hard enough and stay true to yourself, all your dreams will come true, even the ones you've forgotten about.
Which I think is so cool. Like, even though he was working on this and he wanted to do it, once he did it, he remembered, man, this was like a dream I forgot about. And you can go ahead.
It says, this book is not the story of my life. It is the story of my foundation. The construction of my life is still in progress. I refuse to relax. I refuse to get comfortable. I refuse to sit down. Okay, sometimes I sit down. But when I sit down, I'm still working. I'm on a quest to find the ceiling of what's possible in this life and raise it, so that my children and their children and their children's children will look at my accomplishments and go, holy SHIT. I'm chasing after that holy SHIT effect. If this sounds arrogant, that's because it is. If you don't believe in your own greatness, no one else will. You're limited only by your doubts, your fears, and your desire to fit in rather than to stand out.
Yes. And there's room in this world for all of us to stand out, which I think is, like a lot of times people don't do things because they feel like, oh, somebody else is already doing that. You can still do it. There's room for everyone to do anything that they want to do because your customers and your brand, that's specific to you and what you have to offer. And then I just want to end the book with reading chapter 99 because this is him and what the advice he has for people that are trying to get ahead in life. And I always try to pick books that are about that. So if you want to, we can just do a pair, you can do the first section, I'll do 1, 2, 3, and we'll just keep going. You want to do that?
Okay.
You can do the first thing, and then Mom, you want to do 1, and then I'll do 2, and then we'll just do the numbers.
Life is like a pack of cards. There are 52 cards in the deck, but only 4 of them are aces. The goal of life is to make your way through a crowded deck where the odds are stacked against you and draw an ace. Looking back over the decades covered in this book, I've picked out 8 qualities that put me in a position to draw aces. These characteristics don't work alone. Like a recipe, they only create success when combined together in just the right amounts.
Yes.
Number 1, persistence. More than anything, my willingness to be persistent is responsible for the success I've had. My mindset is, it's okay to fail, but it's not okay to quit. Struggle, rejection, failure, and doubt breaks most people. Your goal is to learn from these challenges without letting them diminish your motivation. The secret to accomplishing this is simple. Let yourself be driven by your will to succeed rather than your fear of not succeeding.
Yes. Patience. The companion to resistance is patience. It drives away the anger, disappointment, and resentment when success doesn't happen overnight. Patience is understanding that your moment will come at the right time. Your job is to get ready for that moment. Because if it comes when you're not prepared, then it vanishes. Torsten, that's not yours. Put that back. That's Mildred's. Just chill.
You can have it. I haven't drank it.
Do you? If you want it, she said you can have it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it comes when because if it comes when you're not prepared, then it vanishes just as quickly. Know that your patience will always be tested, and if you can pass that test, you will be tested again and again until the rare few left standing reap the reward. So I do think that's absolutely true. Like, success doesn't normally come to people overnight. It comes through people that carry on.
Number 3, class. It's easy to get bitten by what I call the false reality bug and start looking down on other people. Class to me is having a high level of humility and likability and knowing that all human beings are equal and worthy of respect, understanding, and consideration. Even if someone has done something that seemed harmful to you, you still have the option of handling it in a classy way by responding logically instead of emotionally. Class is an investment that will pay off your whole life because the people you interact with can become your greatest allies or your greatest foes. There are no positive consequences to showing up anywhere with an attitude.
Yes.
Number 4, commitment. Whenever I do a performance, a film, or any type of production, I sign a contract. That contract spells out in specific words an obligation that I'm under. It includes being in a specific place at a specific time on specific dates for a specific number of hours. In other areas of life, the details may not be written out on paper. But if there's a commitment, there's a contract. If you have a child, that's a contract. Your friendship and relationships, those are contracts. Your career, your projects, your goals, your dreams, all contracts. The most important contract of all is your word to others and to yourself. If you do not honor your contractual obligations, then other parties won't honor theirs either, and you want to get the results you want. So you always have the option of renegotiating your contracts. You don't have the option of breaking them unless you are a danger to you or others.
Yes. Learning. The key to learning is to shut your mouth. Observe, listen, evaluate, and then choose. Every experience you have is a gift created to teach you a lesson. If you learn and implement that lesson in your life, then you get to receive the next gift. If you don't learn from it, then that same lesson will keep coming back to you over and over until you die, standing in the exact same spot where you started, blaming others for something you should have done yourself long ago. In this world, there is nothing but life lessons. Pay attention to them, and the world will open itself up to you.
Passion-centered competitiveness. This is the engine that drives all of these qualities. Having a passion, something you love that gives your life meaning and focus, is just the beginning. If you haven't found your passion yet, don't overthink it. Just start doing something you enjoy. The key that turns passion into directed action, though it is competition. It can be competition with yourself, with others, or even with history. After I found my passion, I saw how much others before me had accomplished, and I competed to get to that level. When I got there, I saw how many talented people were trying to get to my position, so I began competing to stay ahead of them. The important thing to realize is that you're not competing against anyone. You're competing with them. There are 4 aces in every deck, and there are an infinite number of decks.
Yes.
Positivity. What you put out is what you get back. If you want to achieve positive goals and experience positive relationships, then put out positivity. If someone else is putting out negativity, then maneuver around them like you would around a paddle on the ground. If you respond with negativity, you will only get dragged into the mud. It is a talent to stay positive and avoid negativity in the face of a sometimes cruel, unfair, and indifferent world. Cultivate that talent. It's a secret to living a happy life.
I agree with that.
Yes.
Discomfort. The last quality is specific for the high achievers. If you want to get far in life, then never get too comfortable. Don't stop, don't rest, don't be satisfied. As soon as you get comfortable, you're pressing a brake and you're halting your forward momentum. It will be hard to accelerate again afterwards. This may seem like advice that goes against almost every self-help book ever published, but it works. But it is work that gives your lives meaning. That's not an original idea. That's in the Bible. One who is slack in the work is better to one who destroys. When you look back on your life, it should mean something. You should be able to say, whoa, I made an impact on the world when I was there. And you don't create change by being comfortable. Do you want to read the next one?
Behold, these truths that I have given you, go forth, possess, and don't blame me if any of this advice doesn't work. Blame yourself for following the advice of a guy who tells jokes for a living. Surely there's someone wiser you could have chosen to listen to, like a professor or philosopher, or was it
Dalai Lama,
or the wisest person of them all, the person reading this book.
Yes. And I think like in his book sometimes the thing that he regrets about being young, like in high school, is that he didn't try to excel in anything. He was just trying to get out of his mom's house. Like he never tried to be good at swimming. He didn't try to be good in academics. But he could have been good in all those areas. He just really didn't try. Because his only focus was
protest against
I am going to be free from my mom because she's got this hold on me. She's regulating my whole life. And he loved his mom. It wasn't, he just wanted that freedom. But he states in this book, and it's in the end here, where he's like, now that I have kids, I always ask them about their education, and I'm so into it. And my mom was so into my education, and she got a master's degree, and she was a hard worker, but I was just focused on the wrong thing when I was young. And I think it's nice that he acknowledges you know, that's what I like about him, that he's willing to say, you know, I wish I would have done that different. I think this is a better path, you know. And then he says in the book too, like, I think I do too much for my kids. Like, my son plays soccer. So I have, who did he have? Beckman? The soccer guy? What's his name?
Yeah.
He had that soccer guy come to his house and play soccer with his kid, and his kid was like, I really don't want to, Dad. Yeah, Beckman something. I don't know his first name. But, and then his daughter was into dancing, and he had somebody teach her how, you know, beyond, and then his son was into basketball, and he had an NBA star come to their house and play with him, and he was like, well, you don't do it like Coach so-and-so, and he's like, hold up, Coach so-and-so, this is the NBA player. But he's also learning, though, even you give your kids everything, at the end, it's still their desire to excel. Like, you can't put a desire to excel into a child. That has to be something that a child decides at some point that that's what they want. Yeah. And I will say he's got some really cool pictures in here. The book is super easy to read. It has little chapters, so if you're a busy life person, or you got kids, or you got a job, and you only got little breaks, you can probably read a chapter in 5 or 10 minutes, because they're small. They're like, what, 5 pages maybe?
Yeah.
You know,
not even that.
Yeah, and I mean, I like Kevin Hart, so this was an easy book for me to decide that maybe we should read, but I like his story even more now that I read this book. And I really respect him more as a person. I mean, I did not respect him anyway, you know. But the next book that we're going to read is going to be The Black Unicorn. And this is interesting too. We kind of picked her with him because they're related. Like, he did something for her, which is how she got to where she's at, you know, so that's why I picked it like this. And then after that, we're going to read Gucci Man. So those are the next 2 books. This book will start in 2 weeks. This book only has 275 pages, so I'm thinking 80 pages every 2 weeks. And I think it's doable. You already read it, right? Didn't you recommend
I think I did.
Yeah, my mom actually recommended
I have
this
to
book.
look at it, the first pages, to make sure. Reread some of it.
Yeah. So we'll read her next. I'm sure her story is going to be super interesting too. And I just think it's cool, like, I love how his life's not just about where he wants to be. His life's also about keeping people employed to get him further and to get them further. Not just keeping people employed to use them, but keeping people employed to advance them.
To improve them and
Yes.
help them.
And I think sometimes people use I mean, he could easily use people just to get what he wants and then just be done with it. Because what people don't realize is the clique that Kevin Hart has, all those people at one point worked for free for him.
Yeah,
But gave it everything. Yeah.
Times, you
And
know.
then eventually people were working for free for him and getting fired from other jobs because they were so committed to him. Do you remember that one guy? That he was a travel agent or something, and he would do their bookings, and he was also security. And he lost his job because he had to always be with Kevin Hart on his gigs and stuff. And then when Kevin found out about it, then he was like, hey, we'll just find a way I mean, everything's real tight, but we'll just figure out a way to pay you too, because you're here and you're doing what I need you to do, and I want to reward you for that. So even when he didn't have the money, he was trying to help people that were helping him, even when he didn't have the finances, never trying to use people, even though at some points a lot of people did things for him for free. Does that make sense? But I think that's how it is. Like, when you're doing great things and you surround yourself with great positive people that believe in you, they are going to be willing to do things for you for free. Right. That's just how it is. They're going to invest in you, you know. And that's why if you have the opportunity, sorry, that's my dog. First it was my kid, now it's my dog. But if you have the opportunity to invest somebody that you believe in, like, do it. Sometimes people need someone to invest in them to get them to the next level because they just need help. I mean, think about all the times his wife's parents helped him.
Yeah.
They didn't have, and I'm talking about his first wife. Even though they had all their problems and things were the way they were, even her family helped him all the time. They didn't have a place to stay, using her mom's credit card, like, to get hotel rooms, you know, like, just crazy stuff like that. I mean, I could see how it was so much tension in their relationship because they were still depending on so many other people to get through, you know. But yeah, so kudos to them, because That was probably be rough. I would hate to think that I would be in a position where I would be like, Mildred. I know it looks like I'm doing really good right now, but